time and time I've been hearing this pattern that AI is that magic tool which is going to solve my problem. So AI cannot be your strategy. AI is part of your strategy. And that's the mindset with which I start with and how we can engage our human.
Welcome to Pivoting to Technology Adoption. I'm your host, Donna P. Mitchell, the Transformation Authority. Every week, I sit down with executives, strategists, and innovators to tackle the one problem no one's solving. Why 70% of technology transformations fail. Let's pivot. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Pivoting to Web3 podcast. And I'm really excited today because we have Rupali Kumbhani, and she is definitely in that transformation space. I'm definitely excited with this because she has been in the C-suite strategy, execution, implementation. She's definitely on the people side. And she's done widespread enterprise transformation at some of the most demanding organizations from Blackstone to University of Chicago Medicine. Rupali is a global strategic transformation executive who advises C-suite leaders on AI strategy, operating model design, and governance. I did not believe I had someone who could speak to this all in one space. I'm going to turn it over to her. She'll tell you a little bit more about herself and what she's working on today. Rupali, say hello to your audience and ours and tell us, what are you working on that's exciting that you want to share with the C-suite and executives and those that have a vision about AI and technology adoption?
So, hello to you, Donna, and hello to the
Hi.
viewers. Thank you for giving me the space and opportunity to talk. And I thank you for that kind introduction. Yes, as you have said, I work at the intersection of strategy, technology, and execution. And one of the hot space right now is the AI. So, I'm working with C-suite, advising and working in parallel with them to how to make AI strategies. What is the strategy works for their business model, for their culture, for their people, and then how to do the AI adoption, keeping people human at the center of every transformation. So that's where my spot is. The exciting part, or I would say the challenging part, is the mindset. My focus every time is to bring C suite to leaders back to strategy rather than tools because time and time I've been hearing this pattern that AI is that magic tool which is going to solve my problem. So AI cannot be your strategy. AI is part of your strategy. And that's the mindset with which I start with and how we can engage our human, whether there's your stakeholder, whether your customer, whether there are people working in your organization, your board members, to use technology to empower them rather to replace them.
Well, I'm really glad that you explained that piece with the mindset because I find that to be very important. And some of the issues today is about the mindset. But I have people listening that are really curious on who should be in that beginning meeting. When C-suite decides that they need to upgrade their technology, do an implementation, they budgeted the money in the line item. What CEOs and what chiefs, there's a whole lot of chiefs happening right now today. Who should be on that C-suite team in the conversation? Who would you include?
So my suggestion would be to have all your C-suites in there. I do not say that you take away CTO and keep your chief data officer away from that conversation. It's a group conversation and it needs to be starting from there. Also, your people C-suites should be there too because they can give you the voices of people, what they are feeling about, what is their team looking into it. So I feel like all of them should be there with the same goal in the mind. Problem is not the amount of people, is what they're trying to achieve or what the vision is. Because if your vision is, let me get ROI, let me get move faster and quickly without looking into that long-term goal, it's going to fail. No matter who you have it in the room and how many experts are sitting in that room. People are thinking in a short term. For example, I was talking with a banking CEO, and during my advisory work, his first question was he was launching a product and what should be the best AI tool you have used which will work in my product launch? And that's not the right question to ask. My question to him was, what is actually stopping you to launch this? What are the pitfalls of your previous launches, what are the failures from that? So that mindset of what will be the right AI tool to launch, I have shifted him to what is the problem is. Working with his team to gather that data came to the surface that they are not identifying the user profile correctly. They do not have their target audiences in the mind. So, thinking that magically AI would get those people to buy this product is not going to happen for you. So, that's the mindset change needs to be there. If leadership have that mindset, then they can guide their team members. So, for me, it's not important who is in the room. For me, important is how you're thinking, who are in that room.
So exactly. So when you think about the past experience you've had with Blackstone and University of Chicago, and medicine and Ipsen, what are some of the trends and some of the patterns of recognition that you see across industries? Let's say, where no matter where you go, it's the same issue. It could be mindset again, but I'm thinking you would have a little bit more than just the mindset that we need to work on.
So, something to correct, I worked in Revantage, which was owned by Blackstones, where we were providing services to multiple portfolios of Blackstone. So, they sit into different verticals of real estate. So, you are right. That's the question comes because I have different industry agnostic transformation done. And is there any common pattern? Common pattern when you are doing enterprise transformation is a resistance to change is common. All of us, including myself, we do not like change. Whether it's better for us or not, we just resist a change because it pushes us to think differently. So that also goes back to your mindset thing. I will say mindset is one of the factor that people resist the change, but then going about those changing mindset, the strategies is very similar. What I implement and use it as my toolbox is active listening without the biases. You need to talk with the people and understand what's the resistance and why where it's coming from. It's we do not like the changes, the common pattern, but why? What is you worried about? What is you afraid of? What is the fear behind that? Which you will see it in AI also. People resisting AI because they have a fear AI is going to replace my job. So, how I make that comfortable for them, how you give education to people saying AI here is not to take the job if you work with AI. If you resist and do not learn AI, absolutely AI will take your job because it's going to get better and better. So, what we want to live in the world is where human and agents can work together. That's going to be the future of AI looks like. So active listening without the bias is one of the things which helps me to understand what is the strategy I need to build upon. Secondly is to find people who are the ambassador of your change. You need to
Hmm.
find those people who come up and says yes, I love this and it's going to work. They are your superpowers. You need these superpower people in your side when you are driving enterprise transformation. They are the voice of the change you want to bring it on. They will cheer you from the front and you need to find that. It starts from C suites because initially when I'm submitting my proposals and presenting in
Hmm.
front of board members, its challenges all the C suites are not going to be in alignment of what I'm proposing. So I always go for who are my people who are going to be supporting this, get their vote of confidence. They help me to win the people who are going to be resisting the change. And so it starts from the top and it goes down to bottom. That strategies always work.
So when you're doing enterprise,
Yeah.
in my mind, everybody has to be on the same page. But when they're not, like you said, you have the resistance of employees or at different levels. How do you win them over? With the champions alone, or do you have other people work with you, or do you work with the project manager and the change manager? And what is? Can you paint that picture on what that looks like today? I'm kind of curious. And what is the best strategies that you found in today's environment? Because today's environment can be pretty hostile. What have you been able to employ that has given you the best outcomes from C-suite to frontline?
So it's a multiple questions. I will
Sorry.
I know you. No, you totally right. So I'll try to answer as much as I remember. So please hold me accountable if I miss something.
No, just
Out of
whatever you can help fill in for us, because some of that is some of my own personal questions, like what you using today.
Absolutely. So, answering your question, do I do it alone or alone only with the champions? No, it's the team because my role, once the strategy has been built, then it comes with the project plans, working with project managers, product managers, and also the team of infrastructures, team of technologies includes data engineers, your CX team. I work heavily with customer support service teams. It is in a front end to back end people. So it's whole team consisting of different members across the different cross-functional departments. So they are going to be part of this change. But in that also there are somebody who favors us, somebody who are still hesitant. What helps me from that perspective, from my team perspective, is having a clarity among my team, saying what we're trying to achieve and what's their role is. Because everybody in an organization want to be part of the growth and they want to play that role that they are helping our organization to make the human life better and whatever the vision of the company is. So when you make that clear to them that this is the role you are playing to achieve X amount of growth, which will help our customer to improve the patient care or improve the health care of our patients, then that's what they want to know. Once they have that clarity, you win over them and answering all the questions as it comes up. I am from believer on having a diverse voice in team. It
Hmm.
doesn't mean when I'm listening, I'm accepting everything. That's a lot of time people ask you, so many means I'm listening to you means agreeing to you. No, it means I'm listening to you. I'm taking your point and I'll come back to you and tell you I do not agree with you because of this reason. And there are space and time when I say, it's okay to be disagreeing on the topic, but there are certain paths we need to move on because that's the plan we have created. And this is the plan to work upon. So, having that, people feel empowered to bring creative, innovative solutions because enterprise solutions goes through different changes. A lot of time you do not see it, and those time you need your team members to work with you, not work against you. So these are some of the skills help me. Other question you had it was in terms of what's works in current environment, like in the AI environment. I'm assuming that's what you're talking about. So
In the AI environment, in some of the workplaces and spaces, there's a lot of frustration. There's a lot more resistance. There's
yeah,
a lot more anger and less trust.
yeah.
And I have heard in talking to some consultants that that is a level that they still have to work with the teams. And just curious to know, have you encountered that and how do you manage it? Because it's something that everyone has to deal with today. It seems like society, in some ways, no matter where you are, it's not very kind. It's more difficult. There's a change in the air, let's say. There's a change in the climate, the culture. It's affecting almost everything and everybody right now. I'm curious if you've seen that, and if you have, I made some assumptions in that question. How do you manage that? Because that's been a conversation more of today than in last year.
Absolutely. I've been seeing that. And to be honest, is it's not something new, but it's that amount I've been seeing is higher.
Mm,
So, because the way the AI innovative space is moving is changing so fast, so quickly, leaders are not sure which direction they wanted to go. Should I go fast? Should I go slow? Do I mature my product right now? Should I hire AI consultant or do I take AI products from outside or build inside? There are so many doubts in leadership level, which triggers down. So their lack of clarity creates more distrust among the people because
mm,
people are afraid saying, okay, am I on the chopping block? What if I'm going to be doing? The other is burnouts are very high because you have to learn a new technology along with doing your own job. So how much should I spend a time on learning AI? And actually, what should I learn in AI? because there is AI is a big word, but then there is machine learning, there is AI generative models. There each system in or a product you're working with has their own agents. Where should I start and what should I learn and how should I cope up with my ongoing job is also a burnout for different kind of leaders. It's not this mid or smaller side. It even at a higher level leadership, there is a lack of familiarity with AI and how to move with is creating that chaos. So I feel like it's the similar pattern, but it's more exponential because the way AI moving it. I would still stick with that original principles which we have done it in past or which I have leveraged in past is giving clarity in this chaos. You need to be clear. Me as a C-suite leader, I need to be a clear mind what I need to do it. What is this vision looks like short term versus long term? What I'm trying to achieve in a quarter and in yearly and in a 3-year plan. In world of AI, you can't make it 5-year plan and say, oh, we are going to be doing this. It's 3 years, it's going to be a more long term. I seen company doing a monthly plan and that's suicidal. You can't do a short term plan for a monthly and then see after each month what it will look like.
That's not going to work.
I know, but you would be surprised. I have heard that also. And it's like, really? Your short term plan is a monthly plan? That's also unrealistic. So think about the bigger long term vision and then plan it for short term agility. Adaptability and agility, those are the terms which will be so relevant in this world and of AI agents and human. I feel like those are not the world, that's the reality you should be using in a daily life as a leader because you need to be agile to learn new things and be adaptable to it. That's where your experience comes in a mind, or that's your experience comes where you say, I learned this technology, but it's not right for my business model. If healthcare tries to print what's happening in the world of CRM products, it will not work because that's a very different industries. Your end holder customers are different. My stakes in healthcare when I'm working in a university in a healthcare environment, the risk is high, the complexity is high, the impact is high. And this high impact is to a patient healthcare. So I cannot use the same thing which I've worked in a manufacturing industry and say, yo, it will work exactly the same. No, it's totally different mindset. So I need to understand what that technology works in and how I adapt to my business model. And where to say yes and no is where your leadership qualities or your experience comes into the picture. Secondly, would be continuous learning. I know we all are busy. We are juggling so many lives together, but take out some time to learn about AI in your industry. Do not listen to the noise outside, which is throwing the world around. And if you are just basing your opinion based on some data you have gathered from somewhere, I would request leaders to focus on making decision based on own learning. So I take out some time on my weekly basis to learn everything which is going on in the world of AI, which is relevant to me and where I want to grow in the industry which I am currently working or people I wanted to work with. Same thing leaders needs to do it. And it's not a one-time process, it's a continuous
It's
process. So it's a
continuous.
long
I'm still learning.
Yes, exactly. And it's a long time journey. Do not focus on short term ROIs because you will not see it. And that's where people lose the motivation and says, okay, I don't see anything coming out in 1 month. No, it's a long term gain. Learning is always pays off. As you keep on learning, you will understand how these models are working. Play with them, work with them, helps to educate them. Thirdly is going back to my original is keeping people at mind. You need to talk with your people whom you're working with and what's the fear are. One of the example you've asked me, I have seen it on the AI adoption model I was working with an organization. There was two level of fears. One fear was with C-suites saying they are afraid to open up the world of AI into organization because they are worried that people will expose the data to the places and the authenticity, the security of data would not be available. And B, They fear that people would be thinking that we will be buying unlimited amount of AI, which we cannot afford. So we do not want to set that expectation. Hence, we should not use the AI. While the team members were fearing that AI will take my job, so I should not learn this technology. I should not train this model because if I train this model, my job is going to be in a chopping block. So why should I be working on AI adoptions in my organization? So the adoption which I have created, the model I have created is based on, I would say, education and governance. Governance was starting with creating a committee from the cross-functional team, which will take the requests from different team, what kind of AI they wanted to introduce in their team, give me the risk analysis. What are the problem you're trying to solve? What is the benefits? And what is the investment looks like into it? And any other relevant details. That way, all the team members or leaders from cross-functional team can review this request and see if somebody else has already solved the problem, why we need to invest into this new tool. What is the additional benefit? Or should we cross-train the team? And B, leaders will have a visibility into what people are working on, what are the problems they are trying to solve, and they can make a wiseful decision on which tool to invest. Second was creating a training program for a people and organization based on their need. So marketing need for AI is different than finance need. What are the tools they will be working on? Give them that selective training so then they can make a decision on what they wanted to work upon. So I combining this governance with the education has helped a lot into that AI adoption into an organization.
What has concerned you about governance? I know on the medical side, you have HIPAA, you got
Yeah,
compliance.
yeah,
In the other industries, you also have governance. And then in some areas, you have no governance.
yeah.
What keeps you up at night when you have to deal in a or industry that's really regulatory?
The security of the data is it's crazy. I've worked on so many security projects in university, and how vulnerable sometimes our data is. That's scary to me.
Are most companies ready? Do you think they're ready on the data side? I
Uh,
find a lot of them
no,
aren't.
no. That's the other
Mm.
question, right? In the world of AI, everybody wants to look into strategy. Nobody talks about scaling. I wanted to have agents, 15 agents are running in an organization. You ask them, what is your 3-year scaling looks like? I don't know. Is your infrastructure is ready? Because the more agents you're creating,
Right.
it takes the infrastructure, and the accuracy of your data would depends upon your data infrastructure and how accurate your data is. Without that, no magical tool will give you the right predictive analytics you are looking for. But
So
I
you're
don't.
finding most of them aren't ready?
No, they are not. They are not. They have not invested into data. There are some who were smart enough to make data as the gold mine of their life and try to create the system to have access to the data. The organizations, some of them are not ready, and they rely a lot on these strategies and investing into agents so that they can say we are AI agentic and it's showing me results right now. I don't think so. They're ready for scaling for 3 years now.
So, for a nonprofit organization or organizations that have different divisions, departments, and human services, let's say,
Mm-hmm.
and they're siloed, they've been siloed because they've got antiquated programs. They haven't really kept up to speed in anything. And now they're in the middle of the mix and they have to make a change.
Yeah.
What would you suggest to a nonprofit or anyone that's in that situation in getting their arms around their data or how that data can be interoperable and be able to move between the silos and capture what they need? Is that possible yet?
It
Or is
is.
that something that needs to be studied and worked on or is there some hope out there?
There is always hope. And you asked me about nonprofit, thinking that I do not work in that space, but I'm currently a board of director in nonprofit organization at Strategy and Technology. So my nonprofit give voices to people who are affected by conflict through art and literature. So I've been serving as a board member for 1.5 years with
Mm.
them, and that's where exactly what you're talking. I try to do is a my focus was moving into strategy first because that's where I starts in. It's always starts from the strategy, not from the execution. And if you just think about the execution, you are going in totally
Can't do
wrong
it.
direction. So my strategy was to build the organization, to understand how different departments are working onto it. I doubled the organization in a short period of a time, hire more people, so we are avoiding that burnout. Now is focus on that technology, understanding how we were gathering the data and how we can improve our current technology to gather more data and have a more access to the data. How much we are giving that data to third party versus having us with in our organization. And I understand it's not feasible for everybody or every nonprofit organization to build everything by their own, but having that control and having that understanding that what I have a control over my data is so important to know. And then we can build upon that. So, absolutely, any nonprofit organization can think about that and can start. So, again, it goes back to that adaptability and agility. You need to be agile and thinking about it and start working on it. You will learn a lessons moving forward because nonprofit, in a nutshell, is different than profit organization. But at the end, I do want to attract more viewers so that I can support the cause or a mission which I'm working for. That's the end goal of me.
Boy, I could talk to you forever, but I know we don't have a lot of time. So let me cut to the chase on the governance before we run out of time. Responsible AI, people are talking about it, but a lot of people aren't sure
Yeah,
what that includes.
yeah.
And when they set up their policies or start having the conversations on policies, can you shed some light for those that are listening that are in that governance piece where they need to do something? They've got the employees, the organization, they're looking at technology, but they're not sure what's responsible and what's not. And what should that look like? What should it include?
Responsible AI is a big component of it. It goes into ethicality of it, the use of it. Just to explain people who does not understand or do not have a deep knowledge about what we are talking about, it's about the use cases of AI and why it is important because machine doesn't do wrong. Is the algorithm which is trained to make machine work is wrong. I was just listening to some of the Senate podcast and I seeing just recently some of the conversation about the same topic. It's not that the AI or a machine is good, is how we are implementing for AI is. Like you can use a knife to cut an apple or kill a person. What you use for is important. Same way it goes for AI. So the ethicality is the biases which is coming into an algorithm, it's going to be coming by the data provided by the humans. So hence the data should be a huge part of this. It should be a wide range of data and then a human intervention needed to make sure that the algorithm is created is equal for all. And I think so in a year and a half ago when I saw the article that AI going to be implemented at the airport security, it's worries me that we are not at that level and how and what we trying to use AI to use for the security purposes would depend upon who is training that algorithm, who is feeding that data. Is that has been viewed by all people, then that data is accurate and giving you information what you need. It's not
Hmm.
AI is doing mistake, it's the people who is behind that is making the mistake.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. I'll hold my comment on that one. So, lastly, what is it that really brings a transformation to life successfully? You've worked a lot of transformations, and for those listening, could you maybe paint a picture of a client that you had on what it was before you got there and what it was when you were done at the implementation?
Absolutely. We have talked a lot about strategy, so let's me focus the gear and more go towards the implementation side. I've been time and time called to rescue some of the initiatives, and one of them which I can think about is on the implementation side was when one of my colleague was building an enterprise methodology which helps our different regions. So we had it North America, we had UK, EU, and APAC. These regions were using this methodology so that we have a similar processes, methods of project management to conversation with our stakeholders, driving the initiative through the same methodology. So it seems consistent. So we look as a one company rather than individual regions. When at the time of building the methodology, it was really great. Everybody was aligned with everything, they sign off on it. When the methodology was built and it's the time of execution, that's where the trouble starts coming. One region was ahead and rest of them were not. The leaders, which were like VP of engagement and PMOs, were not agreeing on which direction to move on, what should the execution looks like, and how we can still look like a one company when we are launching this methodology. So that's where I've been called because I've been doing similar work in the other space. So my first thing was listening to the people. I'm going back to that. It's like active listening with people came to understand what is the problem lies in, why there is an execution backlog or a blockage is coming up. It turns out to be we created a methodology which is one size fits all, but each regions are not at same level. Some are more mature, some are not. Some have smaller teams, some have bigger team. For some, financial is a bigger issue to showcase when they are there driving a project and they wanted to make it red, and some wants to show schedule as their clear indicator of problems. So creating those changes and making the methodology to fit everybody's needs still looking the same. So for example, your project report will be look like the same, but the information you leverage to fill that out will depend upon the maturity of a team and the project you're running upon. You have a freedom to make sure what you want to indicate red on what criterias. Making these kind of changes, I win over those VPs saying, okay, now this fits to my team. Second came the challenge was in a training. Some people have a big, huge team open to move forward. So they have done training by themselves. They are way ahead in this execution phase. And they were not ready to support other region side because it takes away from their ongoing work. I volunteer myself saying, I'll create a training for the leaders. Again, not for every entire team of the other region, but the leaders. Let's make this recorded line and then use that to train your own team. This way, we get a kind of a win-win situations and you can still move forward. And then comes is the launching strategy because all the money has been spent on building this methodology. There was no money left for me for launching. So then I leverage my relationship, my customer support team, and talk to them saying what we can do in-house which will support this, which we look like as the same team, and what are the creative way we can do it. And guess what? Teamwork came up and they were so supportive. We introduced first AI chatbot in company saying this is available. Can we try here in this space? Yes, please. Let's do this. This is our first website with the AI chatbot, and we launched successfully. So I feel that is one of my success story for an implementation side, which I can talk with you.
Well, I think that's very exciting. So, how can somebody reach out to you? I have an executive that's listening, or some owners that are listening of a medium business or even large and scaling. How do they connect with you?
Sure. So I'm passionate about this conversation and would love to know your opinion and would love to know where are your challenges are. Does this relate with you or you feel differently about it? You can reach out to me on LinkedIn. My handle is Rupali Kumbhani, which is my first name and last name. Feel free to connect with me.
Well, I think this has been an exciting conversation. Rupali Kumbhani has been here, done that, and doing a lot more. And I'd like to thank you for joining Pivoting to Web3 podcast and have a wonderful evening because we are shaping tomorrow together. Thank you for listening to Pivoting to Technology Adoption. If this episode gave you something to think about, subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a colleague who needs to hear it. My new book, Pivoting to Technology Adoption, Mind the Gap, is available now on Amazon. Visit pivotingportal.com to work with me directly. I'm Donna P. Mitchell, the Transformation Authority. Until next time, mind the gap.